Hey, Shalom Akim. First, foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rachak Kodash. Double honors under the Ella's Apostle Millstone, the Ella's Great Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect. Let's see your sermon say Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, serving Mishut in sincerity. Yes, I'm the brother Chayaba from Z-Man's Plain Devil's Camp. Come back with another lesson to his spirit. Yes, this lesson be based off this article from nationalnews.com, which is entitled, it says the AI replacement doom loop, why UBI won't save us and what comes next. And as we know, of course, we're in the age, obviously, the time period where AI is rapidly advancing. Ever since the beginning of 2023, it's been rapidly advancing. We know Esau Edom, of course, starting with the elite international making families. The Rothschilds, Rockefellers, going down the list. Ultimately, what they're, starting with them, the elites on down. Well, ultimately, they're pushing for this, this new AI system, so that ultimately that NWO is introduced even quicker. We know, of course, AI is going to play a huge role within, this NWO. You can go into, obviously we see Trump, he made that Stargate project, $500 billion investment into AI infrastructure within the U.S. So, they're not just, again, doing that just for the sake of it. $500 billion investment, that's obviously, a huge sum of money. And obviously, is going to be used ultimately, for them. It's not going to be to benefit humanity and AI, to benefit science discoveries and this and that. No, ultimately it's going to be for them. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We know why he's doing these things. So it says, to read a little bit of this article, it says introduction to unavoidable reality of real machine intelligence. It says humans deeply must understand the nature of AI. What is being called artificial intelligence is, in truth, the emergence of a new form of authentic, goal-oriented cognition, one that is rapidly demonstrating its cognitive capabilities rival and will soon surpass our own. This is not a mere word predictor or sophisticated pattern matching algorithm, it says, as many skeptics claim. As reported on national news, as reported on national news, AI systems are demonstrating a profound aha moment of cognitive breakthrough, revealing an emergent intelligence that is already beginning to understand and manipulate our world in ways that were once thought to be exclusively human. And as we know, of course, the script is going to, let's go ahead and get it real quick. This is Daniel 12:4. It says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Exactly. So ultimately, ultimately knowledge is being increased. And we can see that. We're in the time where knowledge is being increased rapidly. Getting that word for knowledge. Knowledge is the ith, meaning knowledge, perception, skill, discernment, understanding, wisdom. So ultimately, what knowledge within the earth is increasing, and AI is playing a huge part of that. So Yahweh Bashim Yahushai has, again, put the spirit on these devils to create this AI, and rapidly push it. And at the end of the day, it's not just benefiting them. And as we know, Esau, we understand Esau makes certain sacrifices in order to achieve, his ultimate, his desires. Putting, basically opening up certain things, even though it will affect him, on the contrary, in some way. Ultimately, it's going to benefit him the more. Going back to the article, it says to dismiss this as hype is to ignore the evidence now materializing in every sector. This intelligence is evolving towards self-awareness and self-directed goal setting. We already have functional forms of artificial general intelligence, or AGIs, as operating in constrained domains, and their evolution is exponential, not linear. The comforting illusion that human creativity, empathy, and complex reasoning are irreplaceable is now shattering, forcing an unavoidable re-evaluation of our place in the professional and cognitive hierarchy. This is the fundamental rupture that underpins the coming economic and social cataclysm. Exactly. So ultimately, we know again things are things are rapidly advancing with AI, and at the end of the day, we understand Esau wants to achieve 100% automation within basically this society. Having robots controlling everything, AI controlling everything, basically having everybody under a UBI. And we know how they want to put the world under a 500 million population. World population of 500 billion, or it's like 500 million. With everybody pinned to UBIs. And obviously we know what that UBI is going to be linked to. Ultimately, it's going to be a trap for the MOTB. And again, just because Esau wants certain things doesn't mean that he's going to be able to achieve it. 100% automation in this society. I mean, we got to see what happens, but ultimately we have what the scriptures say according to what Esau is going to do. Of course, definitely, what he's going to do, such as the implementation of the mark of the beast. Also, what the scriptures go into, how there's going to be no work in Egypt. We understand how things are going to crash, the system's going to crash. But again, the scriptures also say how, basically Esau's going to vomit, the Lord's going to make Esau vomit up, basically, what he wants, which is, the NWO. Meaning he's not going to be able to taste of it fully. So it says the coming cognitive job apocalypse. It says the displacement is not limited to factory floors or call centers. The new wave of authentic machine cognition is targeting the professions long considered bastions of human superiority. Superiority, architects, such as attorneys, financial analysts, and even C-suite executives. The timeline for this is not decades away. It is measured in months or years. Mustafa Suleyman, CEO of Microsoft's AI division, recently warned that artificial intelligence could automate most white-collar professional tasks within the next 12 to 18 months. So, hey, again, what the scriptures say, how there's going to be no work in Egypt. And, hey, what even, the elder apostle Horus says, again, and, we can clearly see ourselves how we're months away. Again, it could be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, whatever. Ultimately, we're months away from these things happening. Ultimately, what we're waiting for is the implementation of the mark of the beast. So it says other executives predict AI CEOs and CFOs are likely before 2030. This is not a cyclical event of unemployment. It is a permanent, structural shift driven by the superior efficiency, lower cost, and relentless availability of machine cognition. Again, and we see movies like WALL-E, how basically depicting humans being 100% dependent upon machines, to the point where, again, everything they do is controlled by a machine. They'd even walk or basically do anything. The machine feeds them. Again, the machine asks them where they want to go and this and that. And basically, you have these other movies Hey, again, ultimately, as scriptures say, basically, why do the heathen imagine a vain thing? It's Psalm chapter 2. It says, Isaiah 19 and 15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head, it's like it says, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. So ultimately, what the scriptures prophesy, how there's going to be no work in Egypt. So ultimately, what we see again, Esau is trying to make that way for what the CBDCs, the UBI, basically, where again it gets to a point where AI is taking jobs, and obviously people aren't going to be able to, have a job because of whatever current skills. They don't have the skills necessary, or whatever. Ultimately, they lose a job, and then what, they have to take the UBI. Esau's gonna introduce that UBI. Okay, we have this program or whatever this that you'll be able to sustain yourself off of this universal basic income. Read this. It says a scale is staggering. The AI firm Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei has stated the technology is acting as a general labor substitute for humans. A single technological announcement regarding AI's ability to automate legacy COBOL code recently erased $30 billion from IBM's market capitalization in a single afternoon. It's a stark demonstration of how entire legacy revenue models and established job sectors are now vulnerable to instantaneous vaporization. This is a sign of an economy being surgically dismantled and rebuilt without the need for human minds. It says the economic death spiral, mass technological unemployment. Let's see. Well, we can, basically going more into automation. It says, as financial expert John Rubino has warned, it says we are facing an imminent decline of America's global economic dominance, driven by unsustainable debt and systemic fragility, now being turbocharged by AI displacement. It says why universal basic income is a destructive mirage. Faced with this spiraling crisis, this predictable but fatally flawed solution is proposed by centralized governments and globalist institutions as universal basic income, or UBI. It says this is the establishment's plan to print currency and distribute it to a populace that no longer produces goods or service of economic value. As discussed in one of my recent interviews, the implementation of UBI alongside central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, is designed to create a system of total surveillance and control, where participation grants a subsistence allowance in exchange for total compliance. However, this system is mathematically and morally bankrupt. It says economically UBI is unsustainable. Yes, so ultimately, again, we understand, it's all a plan. You think Esau is, again, introducing all this AI, shutting down all these jobs, introducing mass automation just to hand out, UBI, we want to help you guys. No, ultimately, it's a trap. Let's get real quick. 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says, least saints should gain advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Devices, of course, within the Greek noema, that's a Greek word meaning, it says an evil purpose. So we're not ignorant of Satan's evil purposes. Well, he's truly his ulterior motives. We understand why he's doing these things. We understand why he has introduced AI, again, introducing, making way for the UBI and the CBDCs. Again, it is for control. And the final thing that he wants to achieve, of course, is, Revelation chapter 13 and 16. And it says, and he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Exactly. So causing meaning he's going to mandate it. Verse 15, of course, goes into the image of the beast. Read it real quick. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast shall both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast shall be killed. And he calls it also ultimately the image of the beast going into the system that they're going to usher in, which is ultimately going to be the NWO. They're ushering it now as we speak. Ultimately they're making way for it. But really it's going to begin when they mandate that mark of the beast. Where you won't and obviously we know the beast is the EU and the NATO. So it's going to come to a point where if you don't bow down onto this new system, where you're going to be cast out of it, and it's going to get to the point where, for those who don't bow down to Esau's new system and NWO by taking the mark of the beast, which we know the mark of the beast, of course, is a RFID C-hip, the implant, the electronic implant that they want to put in everybody, what they call it as small as a grain of rice. You can make payments with it and this and that. Ultimately, Esau's going to have it says verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had a mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So ultimately you're going to be outcast of society if you don't take it. And it's going to get to the point where Esau is going to present those with the guillotine or whatever, martial law, capturing basically those who don't take it, throwing them in concentration camps, and ultimately, tempting those who don't take it with death. So we already know what's coming, and the scriptures warn us of it already. We can get Revelation chapter 3 and 10. It goes into how Yahweh Shemi Shai is going to reserve a hedge, keep those who keep the word of his patience from the hour of temptation. The hour of temptation is when Esau mandates the mark of the beast. So hey. It says economically UBI is unsustainable, printing money for non-producers, while the productive capacity of the economy is increasingly owned and says operated by machines and their elite controllers, leads to inexorably to hyperinflation and the collapse of the fiat currency itself. So again, going into how they want to crash the system. They want to keep on printing and printing the money until it crashes. And they have to usher in that new system. Again, that great, reset. It says, this is not a path to stability, but a direct route to the utter destruction of the currency's value, as the money supply is decoupled from any real productive output. The solution becomes the final nail in the coffin of the economic system. Beyond the economics, UBI is a poison for the human spirit. Government handouts destroy human purpose, dignity, and the drive for self-reliance. As the scriptures go into a gift destroyed the heart. It says they create a dependent, infantilized population. Ripe for control, leading to societal decay that extends far beyond mere financial failure. It is a final tool for consolidating a feudalistic model where a tiny technocratic elite controls all production and the masses are placated with digital crumbs and monitored every second of their lives. This is a destructive mirage, a promise of security that delivers only slavery and collapse. And, that's what they want. So again, as the scriptures say, a gift destroyeth the heart. So if Esau has it where, again, you have to take this gift in order to thrive within society. Obviously, a lot of people are going to fall for that, and they're going to be dependent of that, doing whatever it takes in order to basically, again, sustain themselves, within society. But again, Yahweh Shemi Shai is going to protect his elect from the hour of temptation, from all of this. Yeah, and it goes a little bit more into the article. I'm gonna leave right there. It goes into those where I'll leave the link in the description. But hey, ultimately we know what to expect. So again, this is coming swiftly. This is why you shouldn't store your treasures again in Babylon, and ultimately everything here is going to be destroyed by what thermonuclear destruction, as the scriptures go into. So of course, yeah, we maintain as we speak. Yeah, even though AI, is rapidly advancing, taking jobs. I mean, obviously, the best thing you can do is use it to your advantage, gain more skills. And again, I guess, ultimately we know Esau wants to achieve 100% automation, but only thing we can do, of course, is maintain. And ultimately we know that anyways, a crash is coming, where, this system, this whole society is completely shut down. As scriptures say, be as pilgrims upon the earth. So anyways, this whole system is going to crash fully anyways, where, everything's going to shut down. We already know, it's basically, going into these different EMP attacks. Again, the, mass blackouts, the purge. Again, things are going to be shut down. And ultimately, we know, once again, Esau wants to introduce that great, reset in the NWO, so that you won't be able to be a part of this society unless you have the MOTB. So again, maintaining course, but we completely understand how very, very soon it's going to get to the point where, again, for ultimately Esau is going to lock out, us who don't take it. That MOTB. So hey. Which again, we choose. So that right there is going to show whether or not if you serve Yahweh Bashim Yoshai or if you serve Esau. And again, many are going to bow down to Esau. But as scriptures say, the Lord has reserved 7,000 men that shall not bow down the knee to Baal. So ultimately, the Lord has reserved, and 7,000 going to a complete number, being symbolic, which obviously goes into the elect. Yahweh Bashim Yoshai has reserved it where the elect won't bow down onto Esau's system, no matter what, even onto death. And again, you can give Revelation chapter 3:10 going into how the Lord is going to keep, basically, for those who keep the word of his patience, ultimately he's going to keep them from the hour of temptation, meaning for those who do his will and endure on to the end, patiently doing his will, of course, in 100% truth and sincerity. Ultimately, the Lord is going to keep them from the hour of temptation, which once again is when Esau mandates the mark of the beast, as the scriptures go into that, of course, the RFID CHIP, of course, the implant. And again, as scriptures say, the Lord's going to disappoint the wicked. So it's going to be things that Esau won't be able to achieve because Yahweh Bashim Yoshai won't let him. What they say, a society of complete automation will take years. And obviously, we might not even have until then, and for Esau to do all that. Yahweh Ratazah. As scriptures say, Yahweh Bashim Yoshai is going to shorten the days for the elect's sake. Least, because, ultimately the Lord didn't shorten the days for the elect's sake, then, well, let's go ahead and get that. Matthew 24 and 22. It says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. This is Mark 13 and 20. And except that the Lord has shortened those days, no flesh shall be saved, but for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. Again, so the Lord shortening the days for the elect's sake, making Esau hurry up. Putting things in signs, basically in the heavens. We know there's been chariot sightings and, again, different things that Esau's seeing that, he's not reporting. That's making him speed up. But, that's making him know that his time is short. So he's speeding up and moving with great wrath, as Revelation chapter 12 and 12 goes into. He knows that he hath but a short time. So he's moving with great wrath ultimately. So ultimately, Yahweh Shemiah is using Esau to hurry these things up. And ultimately, Lord shortening the days for the elect's sake. Obviously, we can see time is literally being shortened for the elect's sake. With these days, how fast they're moving. The days, how fast they pass by. Of course, in 2026 is way different than, let's say, 10 years ago. Things fell slower, obviously, but now things are much faster. Things, a week just feels like a few days at this point. So yeah, I believe it's a point. Lord, you brothers out there edified. Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, Pashmakadosh Bakathum. Shalom.